Hello. I want to go over my philosophy of EDC, specifically involving firearm and knife combos. So just diving right in, I've always tried to pair a knife and a gun, and that can be pistol and a knife. It can be a rifle and a knife. Basically pairing the purposes of or functions of those specific tools with each other. So there's some complementary roles that are being employed. Let me explain a little bit about that. So I'm going to start off with my threat level green, just kind of a daily, maybe around the house, maybe running to the grocery store, sometimes going to the office, but more so I'm not expecting to really run into any kind of threats other than maybe snake or maybe slim chance of a carjacker or something like that, but just more of like I want to have something on me. I'd rather have something and not need it than need it and not have it. And so kind of the bare bones minimum that I carry with me. And I tell people if I have my pants on, I probably have a gun on me. I don't go to, unless I'm going in like a federal building or something like that. So this is currently my setup. You've seen my review on the Vanish holster. This was still part of it, and it's been 8 months, and kind of my warm weather. So only about 4 months straight have I been kind of using this. And again, this is the Kel-Tec P17, and it's chambered in 22 long rifle. I have Stinger rounds in it, and I believe it's 14+1. So definitely higher capacity than a lot of other 22s on the market, but very lightweight. I think it weighs 13 ounces, less than a pound, and I'm able to carry a backup mag here, and it fits very nicely. And yes, those of you who commented on that Vanish holster video all were giving me grief because I didn't have this down low enough, and sure enough, I did have to lose a little bit of weight. So since I made that video, I've lost some weight around the waist, and this fits a lot better. But the way I have this set up, I have my Gerber Gator knife, folding knife. This is a little bit more permissible in urban environments, simply because it's a folding knife. Sure, there are going to be some draconian knife laws that this might bump up against, but I'd rather get in trouble with this than a fixed blade in some urban environments. So I kind of see these as pairing together nicely. And if you want to see more about urban firearm choices, I have another video about going to more stricter environments, and this didn't even make the cut because of the capacity, but we'll leave that to that other video. So this is primary green threat level, not expecting anything, but just in case, rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. I'll set this off to the side for now. This other one, many of you have probably seen in other videos. Last year I did kind of my EDC video, and at that time this was my everyday carry. I also did a video called Courage. You can find that, and I talked about this briefly. So this is a Palmetto State Armory dagger with a SIG Romeo sight. It's got the optic cut irons. I demonstrated my Vanish holster review that these get hung up in that holster, and so I caution anybody from having high sights using that holster. I don't have my regular holster for this gun, but I have modified this Alien Gear holster. Just had to cut down the edge right here for the sight, because Alien Gear doesn't currently make a Palmetto State Armory dagger in this style holster that accommodates a night sight. So modify it a little bit. I like the retention that it has, and you can adjust the retention. That's very important for me, being able to make sure hang on to the firearm. But yeah, I like how compact this is. The reason I am not currently carrying this is because of how much practice it is going to take for me to be fully confident using this red dot. Now, I invested in it. I do intend to one day get to where I'm more confident with this. But the last time I went to the range with this gun, it was a couple months ago, I was having trouble with this red dot and keeping it on target. I could hit a torso, but that was about it. I was not dialed in where I wanted to be. And it was also at a time where 9mm rounds kind of disappeared for a little while back before the election, and I was like, you know what, it's time to set the 9mm aside, focus on something that I can be a little bit more precise with, which we'll see in just a minute. So I have this specifically paired. Some of you have seen this knife before. This is the Tops Mohawk Hunter. You know, I like to color coordinate my knife and gun. So got a fixed blade there. I would of course prefer to carry a fixed blade if the environment allows. So that's what kind of matches up with that. I still usually have this in the backpack as kind of my go-to bushcraft knife. Got the fire steel there. This was featured in my video called Confidence, if you want to know more about that. So that's kind of a setup all into itself. But right now, with the times that we are in, and again, because I don't have that where I want it to be, if I'm going, I would kind of call that a threat level yellow. Okay, threat level yellow. Of course, 9mm, you're going to be able to engage bigger threats, and it is kind of the standard, in law enforcement and so forth for self-defense. So I do want to mention, just a quick shout out back to that Kel-Tec P17. That gun is accurate. I was able to take a squirrel at 30 yards with it, and I hit a groundhog at close to 80 yards with it. Now, both of those were braced. One was on a deer stand and one was braced on the door of my Jeep. But I know I can make, when I line it up, take an accurate shot with that. So the accuracy potential does give me confidence that if I had to use that to defend my life, that I could make an accurate shot to do that. But accuracy being important, sometimes having that longer sight radius is important for that. So right now, I've also referenced this in other videos, I'm carrying this Glock 22. It's a 22 model. Now I've modified it. So I cut down the grip on this Glock 22 to receive the Glock 23 size magazines. I put the magwell here, made my mag pull to kind of cover up my bad cutting job, but hey, it works. Provides a little bit more grip down there. You notice that I have an extended barrel. Well, this barrel, Glock 22, is normally chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson. So I do have that barrel. I have ammunition set aside for that. But currently this barrel is a 357 SIG barrel, and so this is the round for that. Basically, it's a 9mm bullet and a 40, technically a 10mm casing. And even in this 23 size magazine, I can carry 13 plus 1 in a chamber, which is compared to this smaller compact Glock 19 size, I think that's 15 plus 1. So still, a little bit of sacrifice in capacity, but definitely more knockdown power. Had to use this on a deer to put a deer down, and at 5 yards, shot, double lung shot, and this bullet is designed to expand, and it went in and dumped all of its energy and did not penetrate the other side. That's important for me because sometimes I carry this in a little bit more crowded environments, and I want to know that I'm not going to over penetrate my target and have a friendly fire incident. Now normally, because this is a Glock, I'm going to pair this with a Glock field knife, and I do have it set up with this little tech lock here on the side, and it's sits against my body. And when I have this in my Alien Gear holster here, I can conceal this, especially in more of the winter time when I can wear a longer coat, longer, heavier shirt. But right now, especially in the summertime and a lot of the places where I'm carrying, I don't like to carry a field knife this big because it does catch on clothing, especially lightweight summer clothing. So I usually have this in a backpack. So right now I'm carrying this as kind of a secondary. This is the SOG Trident. This knife has a lot of personal meaning, but I also feel comfortable bringing this out for daily tasks, cutting open a package or, cutting some string or something like that. I feel like I'm not going to terrify the populace as I do when I might pull this out. Or even this, this can raise some eyebrows. So this is a little bit more friendlier to other people being around, and sometimes I do need to use a pocket knife to do various tasks. But I do also feel confident with this knife, especially with the assisted opening, that if I had to defend myself, that I could open this and deploy it if necessary, and I can do it right or left-handed if I need to. Might do a whole review specifically on this knife at another time, but for now, that's kind of where I'm at. And let me go back and say, I would consider this threat level orange, and that's where, with the current state of affairs in the world, that's kind of where I stay. We start seeing a decrease in the shootings and so forth going on, especially at churches and urban environments. Then maybe we'll back down to threat level yellow and practice that a little bit more. And threat level red, I would say that's martial law. And I'll probably have all three of these strapped on me in some way, or at least two of them. One as a backup, one as a primary. We definitely don't want to get to threat level red. So just sharing this as far as philosophy of use. Maybe you think I'm crazy because I like matching stuff up. But it seems to work for me. I may make some changes to this in the months and years to come. And that's the thing. You always want to be working to improve your tools, improve your skill set, be purposeful and engaged in what you're doing. If you just have, a little 38 revolver that you throw in your back pocket, like a lot of folks do, more power to you. But I also want to challenge you, when's the last time you cleaned it? Are you sure that, you're carrying it in a safe manner, safe to you, safe to others? Are you sure that the maximum range that you can use that at? Because a lot of these threats that we're hearing about are not conventional concealed carry distances at 5-10 feet. We're talking about active shooter on a campus where you may have to make a 50-yard shot. And with that point, I feel confident that if I had to make a long shot, that I could do that with this gun. I'm not so confident right now with this gun, but I want to get there one day. I am pretty confident with this gun. I do practice with this regularly out to 40 and 50 yards, and try to make sure that I'm within a torso. So I'm talking like pie plate, 6-inch to 9-inch circle. That's my goal personally. Notice what size that also is. That's important because you want to stop the threat. Okay, not out there trying to be assassins or anything like that. We're simply trying to stop threats as they present themselves. So I want to challenge you to think through your EDC combination. Where are there holes? Where are there shortcomings and things that you need to work on? Another thing I'll mention is almost everything except my Glocks. They're made in Austria. Okay. But everything else pretty much is USA made. This is, I believe, the SOG Trident. I think this is Taiwanese, back when they used to make stuff for SOG over in Taiwan. But it's a good Aussate steel, so I trust that. Know how to use your stuff. Practice with it regularly. I'm preaching it myself there. But, even if you're just dry firing it safely, practicing drawing, practicing, getting your grip right, taking shots at a range when you have the time and the money and the extra ammo. Make sure that you are ready, because the motto on this channel: hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Take care.